Is that a wave? That's a wave. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? It's Friday, isn't it? It's 12 noon, isn't it? We're back. 12 noon, Eastern Standard Time. Hey, Malta, what time is it over there? I'm just kidding. Okay, everybody. Wow, what a day we have planned. So, it's Festool Live. It's Festool Friday. I just want to make sure I get everybody clarified. I'm going to get rid of my stick. We're still social distancing here and wearing masks. All right. Hope everybody's doing good. What's that? I'm still doing good? Okay. Woo! Another hiccup, man. We haven't had one of those for a while. Okay. So, I'm going to introduce the room. Big D, we good? Okay. Everybody, this is Big D over here. Chris is on the camera over here. Hopefully you see him. Minnie's over here. And she's got her mask on. And she put a hat up here. Okay, just so I get reminded that this, is it Sunday? February 14th is what? Valentine's Day. So all you dudes out there, if you haven't gotten the chocolates yet, go and get them, get the cards, and make sure you and your significant other are happy. Okay, can wish them and give them a big hug like we love you. Everybody watching Festool Live. So Minnie's over here on the whiteboard. We got Brent online answering your questions. Don't forget, this will live on YouTube going forward. So you'll be able to go back and reference because I got a ton of stuff planned to show you today. Okay, it'll also live on Instagram right away and Facebook. Also, as I ask you, if you are not subscribed to YouTube, please subscribe. Also, we just hit and passed the 56,000 subscriber mark. Chris is doing two things at once. He's working the laptop and also the camera, so if it's a little shaky, don't worry about it. Okay, so what else do I need? Don't forget to tell Minnie about he's trying to do his passcode. It's okay. Okay, I'm going to hold on to the camera. How am I doing? You guys good? He's getting the passcode here. Another hiccup. So how's everybody doing? Uh-oh. We call this the Sedge Cam. Is everybody good? Okay, good. We're going to be talking about today raised panel doors. Okay, good. No worries. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell on YouTube. Wow. Boy, this is a fun day already. Woo! That's why you watch live, to see if I'm going to wreck, isn't it? Okay. I just want to say thank you for tuning in to part one. That is where we did this. We ran cope and stick bits. I showed you the setup. Okay, that was last week's episode, to do your rails and your stiles and to cope into your stick. That's where you get the name rail and stile or cope and stick bits. All right, got a lot of questions on Instagram over the week. We heard you guys got a lot of questions on raised panel. I got a couple that I'll cover. But I want to show you how to set up a vertical raised panel bit. We're going to do the interior field now. Because everybody likes this look. I'll pull it out right here. This is a finished product right here, where there's a few things we got to talk about this as I set up the vertical raised panel and our back cut for this. So I really loved it this morning when Chris said, he said, you know, last week how you were kind of like going at a good pace. Keep up the good pace. I go, guys, I told everybody in the room, I got a lot to cover today. All right? Because I want to teach you a lot about how to do a raised panel door and some of the hiccups you may have. Okay? Now, I want to first cover this. Because last week, we did the frame for the door. Okay? The cope and stick. All right? I need to do the panel. So I'm going to cover this because I didn't want to, how do you say, I'm going to go through this, but I'm not going to cover it because I think I already showed you how to use a domino. I got 3 dominoes in here. This panel was a little bit larger, okay? I cut it to fit the door, but I had 3 dominoes in here, and I used 6x40s, okay? There's my center line of my door. So I need to do a final cut. And what I want to do is I want to turn this over. I had a center line, so I measured from here to here and from here to here. And then I scribed a center line on my overall panel, and I measured from here to here and here to here. Because this is what you need. You need to get that measurement with a little bit of play in there. Okay, let's see. Let me get my folding ruler right here. All right. Okay, so you got to measure. There's a few measurements you got to do. You got to take, and the depth of this cope is basically, Chris, can you get that? Is 10 millimeters. So what you got to do is you got to take an interior dimension and add, and I usually add because my growth of my panel, because the way you have movement on this wood is like this. Pretty much not like this, but like this. It'll grow out like this from the center. I give myself 3 to 4 millimeters of play. So in mentioning that, I have to dimension the door properly. So I do my inside measurements, and then I take my inside measurement here from inside to inside and add, I do 2 millimeters less, 18 millimeters, because it's 10 and 10. Hopefully you follow that. So now I got to cut down my door, right? So that is why I wanted, that's my center line. I wanted this panel because I actually matched the grain on this. Okay, it's not a true book match, but it's pretty daggone close. Okay, because the panel was a little bit wider. So I measured off of here and off of here. And I measured from here to here. Because why? I could have measured cut a 90 here and gone all the way. But you know what I would have run into? If you've ever done this before. Because of the way I place my dominoes, when I raise the panel, I don't want to expose the domino tenon. Hopefully you're following that. So that's why I went equidistant from my center. Okay? And for here, now I have a perfectly centered panel. A good test of this is if I take it like this and I put it in here. See my profile here? If I put it right in here, look. I have movement this way in here and just a little this way. Okay, that's a quick test I always do. So now I'll have proper growth this way with different humidities. Okay, and if I need a little bit of play for assembly this way. So hopefully that came about clear. That's how I got to this panel. Okay, by the way, it didn't take 3 or 4 minutes. It took me a little bit of time because I had to do several panels because I'm not going to run it every single time. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's start with the fence I made. I made this one, I think, about 10 years ago. I wanted to use the CMS. Here in the States, we support the 1400 and the 1010 only. Okay, and when I put my inserts in here, I don't have 3 1/4 inches, which is the side for a horizontal panel. It's just not doable. So I started experimenting with vertical raised panels. And to my surprise, I like them so much more than horizontal raised panel bits. And it's not because of power or anything, it's cleanliness of cut. Okay? And ease of use. So bear with me. I had to figure a way of doing this. So come over here, Chris. And I know I had to ride that panel vertical. Okay? End grains first and then long grain. So I took off, and this is how you take off the fence or the supports. Okay? And I thought about this, and I was going to go, man, I'm going to ride a panel on this fence. But then I went, bam, look, there's a groove here. Okay? A T-slot. And I went, I got it. I'm going to make myself a taller fence. And this is what this is. I have a separate one that we built for classes. And I want to give you a couple of measurements. It could be as tall as you want or as long as you want. I always thought safety because I measured a couple of doors that we were going to do. And I said, what's the biggest panel? And you'll see how much support is on here. Another measurement that's important is you'll see I measured up to the middle of the T-slot. And then I measured a little more. So my center line that I drill my holes, and you'll see I have a screw with a washer head because I like MDF. It stays daggone flat for a long time. I measure up 80 millimeters. And the reason I do that, if we come in here, Chris, look, see that little, it's uplifted ever so slightly. That's what I always do when I build a fence or a jig. I want to leave room for sawdust to not stay on here, but goes into that groove. It's a sawdust relief groove. You can do one of two things. You can cut out a notch on the center line. Okay, there's the T-nuts. You can get T-nuts anywhere. Okay, they thread in. Sometimes in a pinch, I've just used a nut that I know fits in this groove right here, okay, and won't spin. That way there I can thread it in. Hopefully that explained the sub fence I made. You're going to notice that we cut these for classes, okay, when we have more than one group. This is the one I use, and what I did is I threaded it in and I walked it in like I used to do on my shaper, so I made a custom profile. That's all. It's just really easy. All right, now, let's talk about the CMS. Hopefully that all came through about making the sub fence, and you understand that. Okay, so on the CMS, you're going to see there's some screw holes here. And what I want to do is I want you to pay attention to these lines. I never use those lines until I set up this fence, and I'll show you why. I'm going to start tapping these hold down screws or knobs, and this is what I want you to pay attention to. See this scale right here? Now, you stay right there, Chris, because I'm going to swing over to here. Oh, my God, I forgot to introduce my favorite member of the Festool Live team. He's right here. Look, Sparky, say hi. Woo. All right. Okay, good. Okay, so when we take this, let me get a sample here. You all know this. You don't want to take all of this at once. A, you're going to get wicked tear up, but two, you stand a chance of blowing this out. You want to take it in steps, and you want this right here. You want the proper reveal. As I go through this, you'll understand what I'm talking about. This is my field, and this is my profile for the raised panel. And by the way, this here, from here to here, is the same size profile as that horizontal bit. Took me a little time to wrap my head around that. But once I started producing doors like this, I was like, man, this is wicked easy. So I'm going to step back here. And Chris, I have you all over the place today. So if you've ever made a jig or a fence, I tell everybody, it's your jig, it's your fence. You're going to keep it. You never throw these away, even if you never use them again. They're a time trophy. This one I've used extensively over the years. But what I want to do is I don't want to think about things. Once I go through a process, I want to, oh, wait a minute. I got to set the height. In case in point, I have a sample, don't I? So to set the height initially, you want to set it up just like this. That's why I have a sample. And I want to make sure I have that. So that's the height. It's basically pretty much level with your zero clearance insert. Then I don't have to think about it. I come up here and I go, what are my settings for my fence? Or what's the progression that I want to take with this? I don't want to take it all at once because I stand a heavy tear out and heavy blowout. But that's why I pointed to that scale earlier in that line. And this is what this references. Whether you take it, and when you're setting up your bits, whether you take it however comfortable you are, okay? Whether it's 2 passes, 3 passes, 4 passes, okay? You'll see how easy it is, but it's your comfort level on this, okay? So I look at this, and I bring it right up to that line right there. See what says 40? And I start to lock it in, and over here, Chris, can we come over? Yep. Right here, there's another line. Hang on, let me get a good look at that. There you go, a little bit better. You just have to have a Festool Sys light to see that. Okay, good. Okay, you like that, don't you? Okay.
What's the part number on that?
The other thing I want you to check is this. Okay, because I'm going to show you how we doing on time. Good, 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 good. I want to show you something that I used to get a lot of calls on. I'm tightening up the screws. I'm looking at this bit. And I want you to notice something, because I did an Instagram post the other day, and a lot of people complimented me on it. I did it on the OSC, the new cordless Vectoro, and I said, whenever you're changing the blade, make sure you take the battery off. I want to point something out to you. I'm all over this machine this morning, right? But you're going to notice something. I'm completely unplugged. Whenever you're doing setup on router tables, make sure you have no power going to it. I unplugged this one this morning when we back cut. You'll notice that. But the only situation is I don't care if I forget today. I know I'm safe and steady now because I usually forget going, okay, what's not on? All right. So I'm going to tighten that up. I check to see the depth of cut I'm going to take. That's fine with me. Okay, now, the one thing I want to tweak or show you a little bit of calibration is this. This is the deck. I want that at 90 degrees, and you're going to see where that's 90 degrees. Okay, this is really important because I don't want to take my panel and run it tilted this way or tilted this way. The way I get a perfect 90 on here is pretty simple. All right? Make sure your square is square. Is if we look back here, and this is where I had the assist light here for you. If we look back here, everybody, check it out. There's little nylon screws. You see them? So what I do to adjust that is I knock off the tension. I have my square here, and I did this yesterday, and I dial it in for perfect 90. Those go unseen when you get your CMS, but that's to make sure you have a perfect 90 from the deck of your CMS to your fence. And you have one right over here as well. You just have to use a Festool screwdriver. Okay, never mind. Whoop, 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 whoop. All right. Now comes the technique of running it. I have my hose here. I have the hose set up here. I'm going to plug in. Pretty simple. I always get a kick out of it. Derek always mentions afterwards, said we can hear you even though the machine's running. Okay. So bear with me. There's a difference between push sticks and push blocks. This is probably the best push block. I'm not recommending what brand or whatever, but you want something that's grippy, okay? The best part about this push block is this handle. Because I'm going to hold, and anybody who's been through this class with me knows how adamant I am about this handle. You don't want to hold it like here because it wants to walk you. You hold it right here, and it actually holds you down at the perfect position. There's a lot of thought that's gone into this push block. So I'm going to make sure I'm tight. Everything is tight on my kit. I'm basically ready to go. Plugged in. I think I have all my power. I'm going to check underneath. I am. Okay, now, how's the audio? Good? Okay, so when I'm holding this, you're going to notice I'm going to do end grain first. And then I'm going to do long grain. And you'll see as I do this. I am not pushing a ton. I am holding this just in place. I am not going as fast as you would want to go. You are taking your time. You are letting the machine do its job. And I hold it at an angle like this. I get in a comfortable position. So there's my first pass. Now I want you to see this. See the tear out? You won't see that because we're going to go this way with it, and that'll clean it up. You'll always have that. The technical term for that, believe it or not, is called spelching. Okay, so I'm going to take it like this, and I'm going to run it again. And I'm not killing it. I'm just holding it against here. Okay? Never put your hand or any body part near that table. If you have sawdust, just blow it off. And you're going to see right here. Now I'm hitting that long grain. Okay, I don't know if the audio picked that up, but you'll hear a crack. You don't see but on certain woods, if you start to hear a little bit of crackling that's splintering. It's a simple fix. Slow down. Okay, good. And here we go. Once again, light tension. Oh, you hear that? Slow down. And that's all it is. Okay? So there you go. No, I'm not going to use this, of course. This was my first pass, right? So my next pass, I would adjust it, wouldn't I? And the markings here, you'll see that's 40, there's 42, there's 44, there's 46. I do it on either side. I'm going to take it back, and I want to show you what a 42 looks like, okay? Versus yesterday, that's my 42 pass, okay? I'm going to tell you what, this poplar laid up really nice, okay? So there's my 40, 42. Now here's the decision. There's my 44, okay? Now, of course, I'm going to sand this off before glue up or whatever, and whatever finish I put in there, okay? But look at the reveal line from the profile to your field. That'll sand right off. And if you've ever looked at a raised panel door where there's no discerning fillet there, it just doesn't look right to your eye. So what you got to do is you got to compensate in there for what? Your proper sanding. Okay? So I built that up a little high. I ran this at 46 yesterday. Okay? And this is the one thing you can't always... I picked it for the front. See this? Look at the grain. Look how it matches. Okay? Grain. The cathedrals, for me, always go up. But the one thing is as you're relieving this, you don't know what's inside that board. But that just, as we say up north, that just adds character. Okay? So hopefully you understand the process with this sub-fence. All right? And I always get a kick out of it when I'm holding this fence. This piece of MDF is an old door we used to do with the MFS. It's kind of funny. But earlier, hopefully this came across. I'm going to repeat it. Don't think about your setups ever again. Write it right on your board. Here's another thing I always talk about with people is I know my direction is this way, so put an arrow on this. Look, I put an arrow on there, which direction I was carrying my boards. I don't have to think about it when I do my setup. Okay. Wow, Minnie's going to town. Look at all the people. Hey, Brian St. John Moss. Hey, buddy, how you doing? We're now calling you Bahama Brian. How's that? All right, good. Whew. Next, I'm going to take a seat for this because I want to go over this with you. All right, so let's look at the thickness of this, okay? I have my proper feel set, my proper profile, but man, I got a really thick tenon. And I want to go through the measurement with you on this, okay? Check this out. See this? Look how I can't get it in that mortise. So, I used to see this in cabinet shops. People would take a piece of 3/4. You could lay up, I think, 5/8 and still get this profile with the right tenon. But people would lay up 3/4 and keep going down and down and down, okay, until they reached the 6.5 millimeters that fits in there. Okay, but here's the problem. Now you got a huge field up here, okay, with a humongous reveal. It doesn't look good to your eye. So you know what we would do, or people would do, is they would take this and put it through a belt sander and knock that field down. It is a recipe for disaster if that belt sander, that wide belt sander, isn't set up. So long story short, let's back cut. And what a back cut does is it's sizing our tenon to fit in that groove. And let me show you. I got too many samples. We have to back cut it. Okay? And that can be as difficult or as easy as you want. I'm going to choose easy for you. And what I really want to show you is how to measure for this, because it can be in a couple of passes. And the real thing I want to show you how cool this whole guide and start pin system is for the CMS. This is the most misunderstood piece of the CMS. I'm going to go through that with you today. Okay, so let's start with the measurements to back cut. One, I put in it's not really a back cutting bit. It could be any profile. It could be a straight rabbiting bit, but I really like this look. It has a slight, taper down here. This is called a shaker flat panel door bit. I use it as my back cutter. I always have. Okay. All right. Next, how do you measure for that? So I'm going to step here, and I was thinking this morning, what's the clearest view I can get to set this up? And I think if I set it up here and use a clamp, you can get right in here on my measurement, Chris. Okay? Okay, so and here's the mistake that a lot of people make when they're back cutting. they measure from the wrong side of the tenon. A lot of people will measure here to here. It's not. I'm going to see if I can get a measurement on this for the camera. I'm going to turn on my dial caliper, and I think almost all of these are about 907s. Let's just say 9 millimeters. I need a 6 millimeter tenon, so I got to take away what?
3 millimeters.
Man, Big D is Mr. Metric today. Where a lot of people would say, okay, so 6 millimeter tenon, they measure from this side. That's a big no-no. You have to measure from this side. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to take a good measuring device. There's my 6, and I'm measuring from there. So there's my 6 millimeter tenon. Now, I learned this from somebody a few years ago, and I said, I always used to struggle setting up height of bits. Okay, but he said to me, he said, always scribe a corner. And I went, why is he telling me to do that? It's probably one of the smartest router bit setups I've ever seen. And I'll show you what I mean. I used to just scribe 6 millimeters down, and I'd always have to make a lot more passes than normal. Okay, so I'm going to swing this around, take another seat. Whoop, 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 whoop. This is the beauty of the CMS, everybody. You can adjust from the top. Okay? So have you ever set up a bit like this, and maybe you got a scribe mark and you're going like this? The reason you scribe a corner is because you can stick it into the bit. So you can actually get a better height adjustment. Hopefully you're following this, but I do it several different times just to make sure I get it. In other words, right there I'm not getting it, but right there I am because I'm in a little bit. I'll come up, and I'll nail it just like that. See? I can come in here. Chris, you got that? Okay? Now, what I do is I back it down ever so slightly, because sometimes if somebody gets really passionate about sanding, okay, guess what? This may be 8, that may be 9, this may be 7. They concentrated on a corner, so I always walk up to it. And this is where I want to talk about this. This is an offcut. As you get to your final pass, make sure you have an offcut to test it first instead of testing it on a full panel. Test your back cut on this instead of testing it on the full panel. All right? There's all kinds of tips and tricks on there. Now, I have this set up. I'm going to ask you a question. Could I just take this and go and run it because it's got a bearing? Wow, Chris. You can. Wow. And he says he's not listening. Okay. So I want to talk about the mystery revealed. This goes down here like this, and everybody thinks this is just for collecting dust. Okay? And it mounts with, I'm going to get this out of the way, it mounts with 4 screws. Now, I took one of the screws out because I want to use this. Does anybody, well, you all know out there who's ever used a router table, there's a thing called a stat pin. It looks similar to this. I'm just going to grab something that's not a stat pin, but we can actually pretend, okay? And what it does is it acts as a fulcrum. Some way to leverage your piece into there so this doesn't kick on you, okay? Especially on end grain. The start pins that I've always used is you screw into the top of your router table, okay, say right here. Okay? And you can use it just like this to watch. Leverage it in, okay? Because this screws in. Those are a bit better than just walking in there or instead of freewheeling a bit. The problem is, I'll bring this back out, is there's a distance between the hitting of the carbide and bit and that pin. It's still a real big safety concern. So I love showing this to people who have a CMS because this is the best stat pin, the safest system I have ever used. I'm just screwing it in there, and I'm going to come over here so I can set it. Okay, and as we come over here, there's a little knob right here. Big D, you getting all this too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm going to place it. This adjusts the tension, and this adjusts the height. So when I bring this in, and you see how it moves back and forth here. Okay, I don't want to set it here because if I put pressure, it's going to snap in. But I am going to put it right here so I still utilize the bearing. I'm going to tighten it up. I'm going to bring it in, see how it's in the middle of the bearing. And I always go like this so I don't cut that. And ask me why, because I have. Okay? But think about this. Now, I am fully supported all the way to the bearing, and now it's going to be a super, super duper safe operation. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I want to clean this guard. Okay? And you want to talk about safety. Okay? My hands will never get near this bit. Because yes, this helps escalate the dust extraction, but boy, is it a safe way. I could take any person who's never used a router table, put a big bit in there, and freewheel it with this, with the start pin in this guide, and I feel totally comfortable. Okay? And the reason is because their hands will never get near the bit. So when I set this, I take it like this, I set it down on my material, and I lift it ever so slightly so I still have coverage. And as I run this, a lot of stuff I've been jabbering about will come about, and you'll go, oh, wow. So what do I got to do now? Sometimes grasshopper. Master Poe become grasshopper. Okay, good. You guys should hear Chris. I don't know anything he's talking about. He's become one heck of a woodworker, as well as Big D. Minnie, you're getting pretty good at this, too. Okay.
She's trying.
All right. So, there we go. I'm going to walk over, and I'm going to think about this. Okay, guess what I got to do now? Turn the machine on underneath, cycle it on, and now, there we go.
All right.
So, see how that is right there? What am I going to do first, guys? End grain.
Oh.
Okay? So I'm going to take it like this. You're going to notice my fingers can't get there, but I'll just make sure I have pressure here. And now I get the bearing. So I'm going to take it like that. And now, because I got that tear out, I'll clean up that tear out, taking my time, because I just heard some splintering or crackling. See that? Look, my fingers can't get in there. Look at that back cut, everybody. And one more pass. Okay, so before I go nuts with this, I always do this. Did I measure correctly? So I'll take it, I'll put it in my groove. But did I have pressure properly? I did. And I'm going to listen. Perfect. It fits tight, but I still have room for a little bit of wiggle. So let's see how I did. And now, if it was tight here, I would turn it. And let's come over here just really quick. We have this mark here and a plus and minus. I would take it like this, and if I needed to get a deeper cut and see the little tick marks, I would go boom, 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 and make another pass. Okay? So there you go. And I would run it all the way through again. But let's check it out. I'm going to set this down. Drum roll, please. Minnie, how are we doing? How are we doing, everybody? Okay, just remember, before you start doing all your assembly, make sure everything is sanded properly. Make sure you use the right system of sanders. Okay, but let's get her in there, just like this. Plenty of wiggle room. Wow, okay. And then go in. Oh, sometimes I finish it first and then assemble. All right. Now, I know there's a couple questions out there. Okay, let's get that in there. I had a question or two this week because a few people out there, friends, emailed me or Instagrammed me, but there you go. There's your floating panel. Now, somebody will ask me, hey, why do you have space balls? That's for your contraction and expansion. It centers this panel in there. That's why I always put that in there. And it also allows for that seasonal movement so you don't see your finish marks if you have it assembled and then finish. Okay, that was the question. Okay, hopefully that helped. There's your vertical raised panel door. You'll see how easy it is. It's a simple fence. Okay, you don't have to use MDF. You can use some Baltic birch or whatever. I wanted to show you how to back cut. Now, hopefully you understand this guide system with your stat pin. All right, so here was a question oh, I guess I bumped myself somewhere. My little finger, huh? Okay, let's see. Paper towels anywhere so I don't bleed all over the place. It's okay. Let's do this. Minnie, right inside there on my desk, I think I have a paper towel or two. Thanks, Min. Cope and stick versus miter door. What's easier? Well, with the Festool system, they're both really easy. Okay? The whole situation... Okay, so I have a joke with my wife. By the way, Marianne, happy Valentine's Day. I could wake up and go from the bed to my bureau, and I'll cut myself. So I guess I bumped into here. Sorry about that, everybody. I cut myself every day. Okay, so I didn't hurt myself with the Festool system. Cope and stick versus that 5-piece miter door. Wow, where do I begin? Both are easy with the Festool system. The one I prefer is, well, do you remember? I'm going to even go further back. We did the domino door, right? Which is a shaker flat panel. Here in North America, the two top styles of door are the interior bead door that are mitered and shaker flat panel. Cope and stick is still wildly popular. That's why I covered all three styles. But we also covered the three types for measuring: partial overlay, full overlay, and inset. Now, you could use any, there's thousands and thousands of styles, there's basically three. So, to go back to that first question, I prefer the 5-piece miter because I can run a ton of product and I just have to cut them down. And I like using a domino, and the reason for this is versus cope and stick. It's glue line, okay? I believe I have more glue line with a domino, 6x40 domino in that miter joint versus a cope and stick. Now, with cope and stick, of course, just like a miter, you can look at doors that are mass manufactured, and there's a couple of little indentations here. That's because we used to use 18-gauge brass, but now with a micro pinner, 23 gauge, it's pretty easy as well. Okay, but they're still great. They're both strong doors. I just prefer the 5-piece interior bead door because I just like the look of it. Okay, so there was a question I got online, and it's one of those things that I do, and it was from, I think, Rob Graham. He's out of New Jersey. I thought I'd call you out. Or Graham Rob, or W. Rob Graham. Okay, sorry about that, but you're really cool because you asked me a lot of cool questions. He finishes, when you're finishing a raised panel door, one of the notorious things is, of course, this is end grain, and this is long grain. Okay, this is going to be lighter, this is going to be darker, because this is how the water's taken up in the end grain. Of course, it's always darker. Think of a 2x4 when you finish the front versus the end. Right? Okay, so there's a couple of things that I do. I sand everything to 180. But with end grain, if I wanted a consistent color all the way around, I'll sand this to 220, but I'll take it a step further. I'll also do a wash coat right here. Okay, and what that is that's shellac, that's a seal coat, that's already broken down, but I cut it again, a 50-50 cut, with some more denatured alcohol, and then I sand it out again very lightly, and I sand right here in case I had any wash over onto the end grain. It actually, you'll see that, the guys know in the other room, I use it on end grain for farm tables, and it actually lightens it. Okay, it's called controlling the absorption. All right? Sanding alone to a higher grit does not work. Okay, I think I covered all the questions, I think. What do we got here today? Oh, boy. Oh, I was wondering. I was like, he's always been modern. Hey, a quick call out to a buddy of mine. He does an exceptional job. Him and Seth, but I've known Peter a lot longer. Peter Halley, how you doing, buddy? I'm glad you reached out to me this week. He asked me what the bits I was using. I just wanted to say thanks, Peter. You're always there for us and with us. You're the bomb. All right, so as I always do. Oh, and Minnie wrote this one last week. Some dude in Oklahoma who's originally from Bangor, Maine. His name is Dale Trainer. I'm calling you out, brother. Okay, another maniac. Okay, here we go. Is everybody ready? Woo! I'm ready. Okay, Minnie keeps writing. Delaware. Hey, right away. Delaware.
We're in
Okay.
Delaware.
Toronto, Ontario. Troy. Portland, Oregon. Thank you for being there, everybody. I'm calling out where you're from. Yorkshire, England. Flossmoor, Illinois. Powhatan, Virginia. I think I said Powhatan.
Powhatan.
Hey, Bahama Brian, right again. I'll say it again, Mr. St. John Moss. Pinehurst, North Carolina. FTF, Southern California. What's FTF?
Festool Friday.
Festool Friday. Malta, you're always there with us. Germany, 2-pack. Yeah, baby. Lausanne, Switzerland. Did I say that right? You say it. Lausanne. Oh, you're unbelievable. Eatonton, Georgia. New Orleans. Dose. Wolfgang from Vienna. How you doing, Wolfgang? Austria. Holland, Michigan. I know who that is. Mallorca. Haverhill, Massachusetts. Ice Palance, Richmond, Kentucky. Bellevue, New England. Nebraska. Netherlands. It's 6 p.m. there. Thank you for telling me that. Thank you for staying tuned to Festool Live. St. Petersburg, Florida. Whitestone or town? Whitestone, New York. Pook Dessert, oh, come on. Poole, Dorset, England. Poland, Granite Bay, California. Fenton, Michigan. Roscoe, Illinois. Wilshire, England. Helena, Montana. Hey, I know who that is. Hey, Charlotte, North Carolina. Woo! Everett, Netherlands. San Diego, California. Lakewood, Colorado. Copenhagen, Denmark. Johannesburg, South Africa. Santa Cruz, California. Clayton, North Carolina. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Lancaster, California. Caldwell, Idaho. Detroit, Michigan. Sweden. Shrewsbury, UK. Charleston, West Virginia. Ledyard, Connecticut. Tampa, Florida. Akron, Ohio. Bedford somewhere. Ukraine. Denmark. Wales, UK. Hartford, South Dakota. You guys are just saying, oh my God. Wałwiczka, Netherlands. Oh, guys, call me. Tell me how to pronounce that. Greeley, Colorado. Baltimore, Maryland. Qatar. Morgan Hill. Chester, UK. Sterling Heights, Michigan. I've been there. Marble Falls, Texas. Durham, North Carolina. Kidder Island. Woo! South Africa. We love you. Sacramento, California. Tinley Park, Illinois. Cinnaminson, New Jersey. Hey, I know who that is. That's my buddy. Louisville, Kentucky. Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Gascony, Southwest France. Mexico. Dubai. Tallinn, Estonia. Salamanca. Zionsville, Indiana. I know what that is. All right. Salt Lake City, Utah. Warrington, UK. Portsmouth, Rhode Island. Woodbridge, Virginia. William from Holland. How you doing, William? Hampshire, England. Okay, Minnie. Palo Verdes, California. Finland. Kyalomai, South Africa. British Columbia, Canada. Scotland. Kelowna, BC. Baby, I've been there. I love it there. Evergreen, Colorado. Is that it, Min? Okay, everybody. Woo! Hey, let's check time. We're doing good. Hey,
yeah.
Right on time. That's what I thought. Okay, everybody. From Big D, from Chris, from Minnie. Happy Valentine's Day, Min. I did mention Marianne.
You did.
Okay, good. I've been married to her for almost 30 years.
Woo.
Happy Valentine's Day, baby. Hey, Sparky. Happy Valentine's Day, doggy. Oh, right. Also, I want to say a big shout out again to Brent. He's been working diligently online, and I think I've covered everybody. I want to thank our management team and leadership team here at Festool North America, and also Festool leadership team in Germany for allowing us to do Festool Live. For us, it's the best hour all week. Thank you so much for allowing us to do this. We just get jazzed doing this. So, everybody, we love you. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Social distance. And what?
Wear a mask.
Oh, I thought you said Minnie. Be quiet. Hey, everybody. See you next Friday. Whoop.